Kyle Hershiser, and I am on the Blue Review. Hey, this is Sean Green. You're watching the Blue Review.
Welcome.
Look at that. That's
So
how it
good.
should be. Well done, Tim. Well done,
smooth,
Tim.
So smooth. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcas Grant. That is Greg Bergman. Tough one last night for the Dodgers, Greg. And Tim asked me this morning, should we panic? I think the answer is a resounding no, but we'll get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, panic is not the right word, just more so annoyance more than anything. I don't even want to say worry or anything that comes off as close to panic. So yeah, it very much is just annoyance. Not scoring runs, so.
But annoyance is a good word. Frustration is one that I landed on at one point last night, but we will get into that and more on the show today. The first thing I should tell you is that the Blue Review is powered by LAX. We're taking off. Learn more about all the incredible changes happening now at LAX by going to lawa.org/ESPN. Dodgers lose to the Guardians 4-1 on Wednesday night. They lose their first series of the year, 2-1. To the Guardians. Flat out, the overarching theme of the series, I think, certainly last night, and maybe to some extent so far this season, Greg, the offense just not here yet.
Yeah, the offense is it's trash right now. It will be fine. We're not saying that it was ever going to be anything more than that. It will be fine, but the offense is just not moving. They're not getting timely hits. They're not doing a lot of things, and just to the point, they have scored. I think what did I say? I have to count it all over again. But
there's 7 teams that have scored fewer runs.
7 teams have scored fewer runs in all of Major League Baseball. That's including teams like the Athletics, who have scored 17 runs, and the Reds that have only scored 17, and a couple of teams like the Red Sox have only scored 17. Teams that have looked really, really, really bad are scoring close to the same amount of runs that the Dodgers are right now. So it's just a frustrating watch to see over and over again. Guys strike out is the big part of it, or just not getting timely hits. You're not seeing a lot of extra base hits. I mean, luckily Freddie finally got one over the wall. So it was going to happen eventually. But man, he was trying for a while to get it over, and he finally got one over the wall. It just didn't matter at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the hard part. You're right, too, especially the extra base hits have not really been a thing that's been there for this club so far in the season. Last night, Gavin Williams struck out 10. They had a couple more strikeouts against the bullpen later in that ball game as well. So, yeah, just a lot of guys swinging and missing, not making consistent contact. Even look at Shohei, who the on-base streak continues because he is drawing walks. That's certainly a good thing. But missing pitches that he normally just crushes. There was one late in the game. He grounded into a double play on what was a really good pitch, and he just rolled over on it. And we've seen a lot of that so far this season, that just not getting hard contact. The thing about Freddie Freeman is that the batting average is low. He's actually hit the ball, I think, really hard. He's just had bad luck. He can't find grass with it. So it is not a great start. Weirdly, maybe not weirdly, Greg, the guy who's having the best start to the season at the plate is Andy Pages.
Yeah.
3 hits last night. I mean, he's been on fire to start this season. So that is a positive for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can even get half of what Pages is doing, we'd be like, oh, this team is amazing. They can do no wrong. But I love seeing Pages do as well as he is. And also I love to see what he's doing in the outfield, how great he has become in the outfield. Is you trust him at every moment in both spaces. And I love the fact that this was Dave's pick to click, because rhyming always makes things better. His pick to click for the season was Pages, and he's been just that. He's the one guy that actually carried over what they did in spring training into the regular season. Everybody else has just started to fall flat. Like you said, like Ohtani, these are pitches that there was one not last night, but the night before, that it was right down the middle. It was right down the middle, and he just swung and he fouled it off because he was late on it. maybe just guessing. He's typically is a guess hitter, which I
Yeah.
think everybody kind of is, but he is guessing wrong currently. And I think you said it the best way, that he's rolling over because everything is on the ground. Everything is being hit on the ground, first base side. When his singles are all to the first base side, it's all just ground balls for the most part.
It feels like a continuation of the World Series where this offense just didn't really generate much of anything. Now, look, some of this had to do with the Cleveland pitching. They were a good pitching staff last year. The issue with the Guardians is that they're not a big offensive club.
Not at all.
Somehow they were able to scratch and claw last year and get their way into the postseason. But this is a team that really does things with pitching. We saw it on Monday night with Parker Messick was the guy who just sort of dazzled them for about 6 innings. Last night, Gavin Williams kept them off balance. I think a consistent theme, certainly in this series, has been they are struggling with a lot of off-speed stuff. Last night, the sweeper, they just couldn't figure it out. The sweeper with the curveball mixed in. And to your point, it looked like guys were guessing. I mean, Shohei had an at-bat late in that game with a couple guys on, a chance to drive in a run, and swung at 3 pitches and looked awful on all 3 of them. If I'm doing advanced scouting, I'm telling my pitching staff, go heavy on off-speed stuff because right now it's got the Dodgers tied up.
Yeah, and then they start throwing the fast stuff, the fastballs and the four-seamer, two-seamers, and they're just being caught off guard because now they're looking for the off-speed and they just are late on the fastball. So they're completely held off balance. I mean, it's all going to change. They'll all be perfectly fine at some point, and we're going to get through moments. Maybe it could even be in Washington where each guy, the top 4 or 5 guys, are like 3 for 3 and 4 for 4, and just having an offensive explosion, and that takes you for the rest of the season. But right now they are struggling, and it's not just one of them, it's all of them outside of Andy Pages.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It is up and down the lineup, and it feels like one of those things where you just need 1 or 2 other guys to start hitting, and then it gets contagious, right? If you get Pages hitting, and then, as you mentioned, somebody at the top of the lineup, whether it's Shohei or Tucker, Mookie, which little disconcerted to see pop-up Mookie has returned. We saw a lot of pop-up Mookie last year, and it seems like, at least for this past week, that he is back. But get one of those other guys going, then I think you start to see this offense kind of generate some more runs. The other part of that, Yoshinobu Yamamoto was pretty good last night. I don't know that he was quite as sharp as he was on opening day, but he still got you through 6. He had the one sort of tough inning where he gave up a couple of runs, but really that was it. But I watched the game last night, Greg, and I thought to myself, do you remember those 8 runs you got on opening day? Don't get used to that.
Now, that was his MO last year, right? It was like a league low 2 runs per game, something like that. And so you did feel good about it. But I mean, Yoshi's always going to look good. The way he said about it after the game was, I grinded through 6 innings. And that's not typically what you want to hear from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. But he said he thought he pitched well and his stuff was good. He gave up the home run. He gave up the weird play where he gives it the double, then it goes to third and the ball gets thrown away.
Throwing error, yeah.
Throwing error. But like, for the most part, those 2 runs should be enough for this team to be able to be way, way, way out and ahead. 4 runs should not be enough for this team to be, but they are not getting to that space. But if Yoshinobu Yamamoto keeps looking like he'll be fine, if that was a C+ start, right?
I'll take that.
It's a really good C+ start for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Afterwards, he doesn't typically say, I grinded through 6 innings. He'll be like, yeah, it was easy. I got through it. It was, pitch mix looked good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, it was a really good start. I do think I see what he's saying there, but I also think it's him sort of trying to shoulder a little more burden for what happened last night. He wants to sort of take some. Obviously, he understands the offense is scuffling right now and trying to take some of the pressure off of them. So I sort of get that. Like I said, I wouldn't give it a C+. I'd give it like a B+. I thought it was a pretty good start. Not the A that he had from opening day, but still really good. I do wonder. So now this team goes on the road, off day today.
Right, hold on. Just before we move on, I think
Yeah,
the Yamamoto thing. I only went with the C plus because the swing and miss just wasn't there. He
that's
didn't
true.
the strikeout numbers that he typically gets, and because of the grinding, he didn't give up a lot of hits. He didn't do a lot of other things, but the fact he normally has, in the 6, 7, 8 strikeout range. No, he only had 2. Walked the guy, gave up a home run. Thank you. I miss you, Parker.
Just one last time, one last send off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, so now the team off today, they're traveling, they're on the road, they go to Washington. I don't this is going to sound like an excuse, and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but you do wonder a little bit if maybe it's going to be good for this team to kind of get away from LA for a couple days. Not that anything bad is happening here, but it was a lot this week. It was opening day. It was the ring ceremony. It was just sort of the anticipation and the excitement of this team coming back and starting a chance for a third straight World Series title. You just wonder if maybe you get on the road in a place where either people don't care about you, or in the case when they go to Toronto, people are going to be actively cheering against you. Maybe that kind of clears everybody's head, and it's less about sort of what's happening around them and more about just kind of what's happening on the field. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thought, and I mean, Toronto, while they're good too, with their 4-2, they've given up. I'm just looking at the runs scored. They've not very many more. They scored 27 to our 23, and they've given up 28. So they're a negative run differential as of right now. So the offense isn't exploding by any means either. Neither is the Yankees, by the way. The Yankees have 24 runs scored, and the Dodgers have 23. So it's just an early season thing, because those 3 teams specifically are going to be probably 1, 2, 3, if not 2, 3, 5 or something. They're going to be top 5 in runs scored, and nobody is really doing much of anything. I like the idea of getting away from LA though, and just don't overlook Washington, because overlooking them is just a recipe for. You think, oh, Washington, bad team, but they're scoring runs.
Yeah,
we have 15. They scored 38 runs this season, so they're actually putting up. Typically in the beginning of the season, those bad teams are on fire. So, I mean, it will be nice for them just to get to somewhere else and play, and looking at Toronto as like, okay, this is where we need to really step our game up.
I see some conversation in the chat. Conversation in the chat. Roy Estrada saying, Dodger fans, relax. If we have not learned anything these last 2 seasons, we just need to make the playoffs. It's who's hot in the playoffs. We are playing with house money. Ex-Dodger dog X saying the word playoff shouldn't even be whispered right now. I see both sides of it. I mean, this team is playing for October. Yeah, I know we're being critical right now, but like I always say, we have 6 months of shows.
We got to talk about something.
We got to talk about something. Yeah, I don't think either of us here right now are concerned that this team is in danger of missing the playoffs. They're going through a bad patch to start the season offensively. I'm pretty sure we're all confident that this lineup is too good to not figure out. Even Freddie Freeman, I think, said last night after the game, like, yeah, we wish the offense would be better to start the season. But I think he used the words like, this offense is inevitable, so.
Right.
There's frustration in the clubhouse. There's not panic in the clubhouse.
Yeah, there will never be panic on this team until that's actually it'd be interesting. When does that panic set in? I don't think it even sets in ever unless they're knocked out of the playoffs. Because we keep going. I go back to it a lot. But when the Yankees three-peated back in 2000, they only won 85 games the third year. They did not win a lot of games. They just once they got to the playoffs, that's when they blew up. And that's typically what happens with these teams. This doesn't happen very often. Going for a three-peat is very, very rare in baseball. And so a grind of 162 game season right after the, spring training, there's a WBC aspect of all of it. It's, it's a grind. And so that first part of the season, a little bit rough, but I just wonder, when is that time where we look at this offense and go, okay, things need to change on this offense. At what point do you start thinking that?
I mean, if we're still having this conversation in probably late May, early June, it's like, okay, now what are we doing at the deadline? Are we trying to bring in some bats? What's going to happen? Is there there's somebody, when is James Tibbs getting here? I think those are the
breaking in
conversations.
AAA.
He's absolutely crushing down there in AAA. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I think a three-peat has happened in baseball just 4 times. 3 of those times were the Yankees. They did it once in the 20s. They did it once in the 30s. Then that they had theirs, the late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
The only time it happened, the A's did it in the early 70s. Like that's it. In the whole grand history of baseball, that's it. So yeah, it speaks to how difficult it's going to be.
The back-to-back doesn't even really happen that often. So I mean, I don't know. If you can correct me, but I think the three-peat was the last time there was a back-to-back champion.
Yeah, it was, because that was the whole thing last year, that the Dodgers were trying to do something that hadn't been done since the Yankees did it. So yeah, that we haven't had too many repeat champions in baseball in a long time. It's really hard. They play 162 games, and now you have the crapshoot that is the expanded playoffs. I mean, look, every Dodger fan can tell you how hard it is to get through that best 2 of 3 series, right? When all it takes is one bad outing, one bad inning, suddenly you're down 0-1 and your back's against the wall. So it's really, really hard. So that's all a long way of saying it's April. Today is April 2nd. They played 6 games out of 162. There's still so much time left to go in this one.
But to the whole thing about, like panic and all that, we're going to be, it's the beginning of the season. We haven't said it yet so far, besides a little bit earlier, but we're going to talk about the things that look bad. We're going to talk about the things that we have to say, like, okay, that looks like a problem because it's going to relate to the playoffs later and could be a problem down the line. Like for the next, how about this one? So Alex Freeland came in, and his first game, it's very small sample size. He had the home run, he had the double, he was smashing the ball, and since then he's not had a hit. He is hitting the ball hard still. Mm-hmm. He's still walking, he's still doing those types of things, but his numbers are, after the first game, are starting to dip. Not that I feel this way, but do you think at some point, what point of his career up here in LA is going to matter, of like, okay, maybe it's time to drop him down and bring up Ha-Seong Kim, because Tommy Edman's not going to be around until May? End of
May. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
full runway. Do they give him a full runway till May?
I think they're going to give him a pretty long runway, maybe not quite all the way till the end of May, but I do think he's going to get a lot of opportunity. I think that was why they made the decision to start him here, because they want to give him that opportunity. But I will tell you, and you sort of hit on it, Ha-Seong Kim is making a strong case to be back in Los Angeles with the way he's hitting down in OKC right now. I mean, Tibbs is obviously crushing. He's hitting for power. That's his game. But Kim is driving the ball. He's getting on base. And so he really is trying to make his case to be back here with the big club. So it is something, if I'm Alex Freeland, I don't want to say looking over my shoulder, but, just being aware that, you know how this organization works. There's a lot of competition. And so if you're not able to sort of produce consistently in some way or another, then, there's somebody there who's kind of ready to take the spot for you if you don't. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Alex Freeland right now, based off of that home run and the double and the small sample size, he still has over 1,000 OPS, but the number is going down quickly because he's just not getting hits, but nobody's getting hits. I think for him, as long as he continues to walk and he continues to turn that bottom of the lineup over to Shohei, he's going to be just fine, as long as that's why he was brought up here for the most part instead of Kim, because of his walk rate, and that's what he's still doing.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is it? Ruben Flores wants to know if you have a villain yet.
Yeah, no, it's way too early to have a villain yet. I'm trying to think of like who, while I'm watching.
I don't even see any real candidates at this point.
I don't either. And Alex Freeland is not a guy that would even be close to it. The bullpen has looked good, so I can't pick anybody out the bullpen. I'm not going to pick one of the top guys because I can't make Shohei my villain. Right. It needs to be a guy that just kind of needs to step up. So here are the candidates. Not that they're actually there, but just off the top of my head, the candidates, like Kyle Tucker could be a candidate for that because he's a new guy coming in, just like Conforto, and he is not hitting just yet.
He's playing really good defense.
Right. So that's why it's not him. Like he's a candidate. Outside of that, like I can't use Pajes because he's been so good. So he's going to get a long runway. It's not going to be Muncie.
You can't have Dalton rushing. He plays once a week.
Right. So like, what is like, who is even has the opportunity to be my villain? I don't see it. Maybe Teo, like this Teo candidate because he hasn't been hitting, and he had a couple of hits.
But that feels wrong in my heart to make him.
Me too. Right. Like I can't fake it. It needs to be a real villain. Vezia was a real villain. Like he actually, and then he turned it around.
Look how he turned it around. Yeah.
I did that for him. I turned him around.
Yes.
Conforto was a real villain, and he did not.
He never turned it around.
It went from beginning season to end of season. That dude was a villain. I can't even think of who that person would be. Right?
Yeah, no, we may set a precedent here. This might be a year without a villain. It could be a thing, but
how boring.
It's April 2nd. There's still time for things to change or what have you. Before we go, we still got a few minutes left. Did you see how the game ended between the Rangers and the Orioles yesterday?
Is that no, I did not see that one.
So we have our first game on an ABS challenge.
Yes.
Pitch was called a ball, and the Orioles, they hadn't used any of their challenges. They went to the ABS, and it ends up being a strike, ends up being a punch out, and that is how the game ends. The Orioles get the win. I get it. It's in the rules. We were bound to have one of these. That feels like really, I don't know, does it feel anticlimactic, or is it just the anticipation of like looking on the screen and seeing what happened? It's just uncharted territory.
It is very uncharted, and I love it. I'm going to go completely opposite. I love it. I love it because I just despise these umpires so much.
You really do. That's your villain for
umpires always. I mean, that's a villain from the time I was a child. Because it's making these guys look like fools, the fools that they are, that they've all this whole thing about, I know you were talking about with Travis and I heard it and I have the exact same feelings that this is not your game. You are not in charge of the strike zone. It's not what your zone is today. The zone is what the zone is. They did all this where they took all these guys and they made people smaller and shorter and taller. And, like everybody, Aaron Judge lost a couple of inches.
Poor Gavin Lux, man.
Gavin Lux lost a couple of inches. So, like all that stuff, they did all that so that you had a set zone for every specific batter. It's not because, that high strike, I'm going to give that to you today, but the low one, I'm not going to give you. It's my strike zone's different today than it was yesterday. No, that goes away. That's why I just love it. It's making these guys look like fools, C.B. Buckner.
I do. That was basically where this whole thing was leading to C.B. Buckner, who's had one of the worst weeks I think an umpire's had between the challenges overturned, the whatever that thing was that happened at first base the other night between the Brewers and the Rays, and then just taking a foul ball just straight off the mask. I mean, it just both in terms of actual job performance and then physically, it's been just a brutal week for C.B. Buckner.
I hope he's okay, but I hope he never umpires.
But he's also not good at his job. Both things can be true in that instance. And so I think that's sort of where we are there. So anyway, Dodgers off today. They go and they hit the road. They start with a 3-game set with the Washington Nationals coming up. Look, the good news is for all the frustration that we have exhibited on the show today, they are 4-2. They're still in first place, mostly because, as I mentioned, the rest of the division has sort of been slap fighting with each other. Right. The Diamondbacks are 3-3. The Rockies actually did get a win against the Blue Jays yesterday.
The Rockies haven't been
terrible? Question mark?
Yeah, right. They're not they're tied for last place, but so are the Giants and Padres. The Padres, I love seeing the Padres not good.
It's funny.
Giants not good too.
Anthony Rutrado mentioned that he thinks the Padre win total could begin with a 7 this year. And so far through the first week of the season, he is looking on point with that prediction.
Yeah, they're just not.
That's too bad.
They're not very. Too bad.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
They don't have the pitching that they used to have. They don't have the bull. I mean, the bullpen's good in with Miller, but really just guys are getting older. Guys, the offense wasn't great to begin with.
Yeah.
And Machado a year older. I don't know. I think they're
that's unfortunate. Anyway, that's about time for us to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody in the chat for jumping in the mornings and participating. Always grateful for y'all waking up and hanging out with us. Stick around. The Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza is coming up in just a little bit here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Thanks to Tim for production assistance, getting us up and on this morning. But back with you tomorrow, 6:30 to 6:55 a.m. here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. But that'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. For Greg, I am Marcus. Anthony Retrato here tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Yeah.